Welcome back to week 5, and this is element number 3. What do I typically do to celebrate success? So, within Marzano's 41 traits of becoming a reflective teacher, we have now moved on to celebrating success based on the learner goals that we set in element 1 that were either declarative or procedural or both in knowledge and in nature, as well as element 2 where we talked about how we were going to track progress toward those learner goals. So now you've tracked progress on goals. You have now determined what a student's final status is in relationship to the learner goal, or what their gains have been over time toward those learner goals, and you're ready to do some things to celebrate that with them and with their classmates and perhaps their family members. So this is another short and sweet one, but I'm still going to go through the teacher evidence and student evidence, as well as a few examples of some appropriate feedback you might give to students. So the specific statement that goes along with the question is, the teacher provides students with recognition of their current status and their knowledge gain relative to the learning goal. So, teacher evidence, the teacher acknowledges students who have achieved a certain score on a scale or rubric. I am always uncomfortable with acknowledging specific scale or rubric scores in front of the class. So I have to tell you, I don't always like to attribute scores to students openly, because I think that there are life lessons to be learned, but there's also privacy and self-esteem to be protected. So unless you feel like everyone in the class has achieved a certain degree of competency in their progress toward the learning goals, and you feel like everyone has succeeded at a level that no one would feel badly about being recognized for as not having achieved that, then I think it's okay to do that. But I think that it's very important to know your students and know who's comfortable with that and who isn't before you do it. Next, teachers will acknowledge students who've made gains in their progress toward the learning goals as moving along the scale and rubric. So I think this is a great way to handle things where you can actually note, students started at a particular level without perhaps saying what level they started at. And so if they were at a 1 and progressed to a 3, instead of saying, look, they started at a 1 and now look, they've made it all the way to a 3 at the end, I think it's significant to say, we have a group of gainers, those students that gained, a half a point or 2 points, and make the growth be emphasized without emphasizing their baseline score or their final score. So there are always workarounds, and it is important to recognize achievements, especially if the group's progress has been charted and monitored along the way of your unit, as is recommended in element 2. So the next step would be the teacher acknowledges and celebrates the final status and progress of the entire class, but when she is doing so, she is paying attention to individual performance traits that might not just be related to a final status or progress point. So I'm going to use the particular list the book provides in terms of some specific examples of appropriate verbal feedback that are suggested that you could use in lieu of pointing out directly a score related to performance. So the first would be, and I'm going to pull those over so we can actually see them a little better. You tried very hard on this. Good job. So that can't be all you always say, but there are some things you can start with, and that's one. You tried very hard on this. Good job. You put a lot of effort into this. Nice work. You were very focused while working on this. Way to go. I like that one because it links up with the collaborative work skills rubric I've been talking about. You were well prepared for this. Keep up the good work. Again, a lot of these relate back to that collaborative work skills rubric that we have been discussing. You really thought through this and it paid off. So recognizing their behaviors in relationship to, look what you've gained because of what you put into this. You came very well informed about this. Excellent work. And you were ready for this time. You were ready for this project, this assessment, this task. Very good. So yes, those are fairly subjective statements, but they do reference positive self regulatory behaviors and maybe some social skills that you want to emphasize with students. So you would need to find within each student in the room something to provide that type of feedback to while avoiding comments such as, gosh, you are so smart. I can't believe you're so smart and you were able to complete that so quickly. Awesome. Because that's referring to intelligence. And then you want to avoid references to talent. Gosh, you are so gifted at art. You are far and away the best artist I've ever seen. Um, all of those items are good to share with students. It's not wrong to share something that you note positively about a student, but your job as a teacher is to recognize within them the traits and characteristics that are strengths already and those that they need to work on that will help them progress toward achieving their learner goals and becoming, responsible citizens in their communities. So you just have to be careful not to attribute their successes to things that they can't improve upon or grow in, such as intelligence or perhaps if they can color well. So each of those are some examples of appropriate verbal feedback that can be given, and the student evidence that you'll see when strategies such as these are used in a classroom to celebrate success are that students actually show signs of pride regarding their accomplishments in the class. They're going to want to tell people about how well they're doing, and they're going to talk about it in terms of, look, I worked so hard on this one, or I actually had all my materials prepared this time, so I did really well. You're going to hear them use that type of language. And the last instance of student evidence would be when asked, students say they want to continue to make progress. So they talk about their next goal. This is what I do next. I'm going to keep getting better because I want to achieve this. I think if I do this, I'm going to learn more. I'm going to be able to do something at this level next. So teacher evidence, student evidence, appropriate feedback to students, all useful in celebrating success. So when you are setting your goals for this week, if you work on this one, you would actually be looking for a specific scenario in which you could provide feedback to students that would allow them to have their successes celebrated. And you would be talking about how you actually provided that feedback to them in regard to that scenario. Thank you.